यन्मायावशवर्ति विश्वमखिलं ब्रह्मादिदेवासुरा यत्सत्त्वादमृषैव भाति सकलं रज्जौ यथा हेर्भ्रमः यत्पादप्लवमेकमेव हि भवाम्बोधे स्थितिर्षावता वन्देऽहं तमशेषकारणपरं रामाख्यमीशं हरिम्। श्रीराम जय राम ओम 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 जय राम ओम जय राम ओम। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Bhagwan Rama sent away all Ayodhya-vasis, Janak Maharaj, Vasishtha Maharshi, and they, with very sad mind, have reached back to Ayodhya. The way Bhagwan sent everybody away, giving them so much love, and whatever the Devatas had done right at that moment, they had created agitation in their mind. That is what saved them on their way back. Now, having reached Ayodhya, what is it that all of them do? How does Bharatji live? How did he take care of the kingdom? That is mentioned after 322. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Rama 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 Sachiv Susevak Bharat Prabodhe Nij Nij Kaj Pai Sikh Odhe Puni Sikh Deenhi Boli Laghu Bhai सौंपी सकल मातु सेवकाई भूसुर बोली भरत कर जोरे करि प्रणाम भय विनय निहोरे ऊंच नीच कारजु भल पोचो आयसु देवन करब सकोचो परिजन पुरजन प्रजा पुराई समाधानु करि सुबस बसाई सानुज गे गुर गेह बहोरी करि दंडवत कहत कर जोरी आयसु होई तरहु सनेमा बोले मुनि तन पुलकि सपेमा समुझब कहब करब तुम जोई धर्म सारु जग होई सोई सुनि सिख पाई असीस बड़ी गनक बोली दिनु साधी सिंहासन प्रभु पादुका बैठारे निरुपाधी राम मातु गुर पद सिरुनाई प्रभु पद पीठ रजाय सुपाई नंदी गाव करि परन कुटीरा कीन्ह निवासु धरम धुर धीरा जटा जूट सिर मुनि पटधारी महिखनि कुश साखरी सवारी असन बसन वासन व्रत नेमा करत कठिन ऋषि धर्म स प्रेमा, भूषण बसन भोग सुख भूरि, मन तन बचन तजे तिन तूरि। अवध राजु सुर राजु सिहाई, दशरथ धनु सुनि धन दुल जाई। तेहि पुर बसत भरत बिनु राग, चंचरीक जिमि चंपक बाग। रमा बिलासु राम अनुरागी, तजत बबन जिमि जन बड़ भागी। राम प्रेम भाजन भरतु, बड़े न ए करतु। तीम चातक हंस सराहियत, एक विवेक विभूति सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। In entire Bharat Charitra, we get a glimpse of what should be the mindset of a devotee. How does he talk? How does he interact? Here we are getting a glimpse of how he should live. So Bharatji, when he is back to Ayodhya, how did he live? Now Janak Maharaj has settled everything. He has made everybody comfortable. Transition of power has taken place. Now Bharatji calls all his trusted ministers. Sachiva Susevaka Bharata Prabodhe. He called all of them and delegated the right responsibility. Who should be doing what? All of that he told. Nija Nija Kaja Pai Sikha Odhe. And Bharatji's leadership is such that the moment he told all of them, they took it. Ode means, you have a blanket, chadar odna they say. Like that, they took the work and started doing it unasked. Whatever was their kartavya, once they heard from Bharatji, they started doing whatever they were supposed to do. Punisika Deenhi Boli Raghu Bhai. Then he called Shatrughna ji and told him what are the things he is supposed to do. Sompi Sakala Matu Sevakai. The responsibility of taking care of mothers, that he gave it to Shatrughna ji. Means he is already planning that he has to take care of administration. He won't be able to pay that much attention to mothers. So that job was specifically given to Shatrughna ji. Then he calls all the Brahmanas. Bhusura Boli Bharata Kara Jore. Hands folded, he calls all the Brahmanas. Kari Pranama Baya Binaya Nihore. With folded hands, he is requesting them. He says, while all of you are living your day-to-day life, there might be some requirements. Some of them might be very great and very pressing. Some might be very ordinary. Uncha nichu karaju bhala pochu. Uncha nichu means very dire need or something very trivial need. Whatever need is there, please don't hesitate to ask. Not only ask, he says, all of you can command me. Ayasu deva na karaba sakonchu. In all Puranas we see the Rishi Munis who are there, or the Brahmanas who are there, Sattvic people. The kings, they talk to them as though rules of the land don't apply to them. And there is a reason for it. Otherwise, generally, king means the one who has to give command. Now here, king is asking all the Brahmanas, he says, if you all have any need, please command me to fulfill that need. Means they are people who have worked on their mind. And if somebody's sattva guna is high, that person doesn't need too many rules. That was the reason why Rishi Munis, this line a king would not hesitate to say. He cannot say to other people. that if you all have any needs, you can command me. But to Rishi Munis and saints and sages, the king used to not hesitate to make them outside of the laws of the land. Then he calls all the family people, Parijana, Purajana, Praja Bulai, and all the citizens, other people, Bharatji calls them. Samadhanu Kari Subasa Basai, gives them lot of guidance, gives them lot of hope that we all will be okay here. Bhagavan will come in 14 years and he will take care of everything. Makes them settle down happily. Now, along with Shatrughna ji, Bharatji goes to Vasishtha Maharshi's home. Sanuja Ge Gura Geha Bahori. In entire Ramacharitmanas, you will not find Guru was called to somebody's home. If Bhagwan Rama wants to meet Vasishtha Maharshi, although he is the king, Bhagwan Rama will go to Vasishtha Maharshi. So here also Bharatji, he wants something, he wants to ask something, so he is going to Vasishtha Maharshi's home. Kari Dandavata Kahata Kara Jori. He does Dandavat pranams, folds his hand, and he asks, Ayasu hoyita raho sanema. If you give me permission, I want to take upon certain austerities upon myself. Bharatji is asking Vasishtha Maharshi, Bole munitana pulaki sapema. Listening to these words of Bharatji, Vasishtha Maharshi has so much love in his heart for Bharatji. Next line is very oft quoted and very important one. He says, Samujhaba kahaba karaba tuma joyi. Bharatji, whatever you understand, whatever you say, and whatever you do, Samujhaba kahaba karaba tuma joyi, dharma saru jaga hoyi hi soyi. That will become the essence of dharma for this whole universe. Means you don't have to ask me. Generally, what is the order? We say acharana. Acharana means conduct. What I should do, what I should not do. That is guided by not my own thoughts or my own opinions. That is guided by dharma. And where do we get dharma from? We get dharma from scriptures, shastra. It is just like the constitution will decide what is right and what is wrong, and my conduct has to be according to that right and wrong. Even in worldly terms we see, I myself cannot decide what is right and wrong. Somebody else has to tell. I thought it was right, but actually it was wrong. He says whatever it is, law of the land will decide whether it is right or wrong. In the same way, doing a particular action, whether it gives punya or papa, that we cannot decide. So that will be decided by Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra comes from scriptures, Vedas you can say. What Vasishtha Maharshi is telling Bharatji, for you this doesn't apply. General sequence is Dharma will decide Acharana. In your case, Acharana decides Dharma. Whatever you do, that will become the Dharma for everybody to emulate. This point talks about purity of mind. For us as sadhakas, when it is said, do what your heart tells, it's a very dangerous statement. Because our heart will tell us exactly that, what our vasanas want. So for us, the sadhana given is, do that which is the right thing to do. Whatever we have heard in Bhagavad Gita, whatever we have heard in 12th chapter, the qualities which are there, try to emulate that, live our life to the best we can to that quality. Adveshta sarva bhutanam. not having hatred towards anybody. Now that is dharma. I should try my best to live my life according to that. Now, for what is the final culmination of such sadhana? Where does a person reach such that we can say this sadhana has ripened? That is Bharatji. His mind has become so pure that Vasishtha Maharshi says, you don't have to think about right or wrong. Whatever you do, that will be the right thing for everybody else to emulate. That is this great compliment, you say, or insight that Vasishtha Maharshi is giving us into Bharatji's mind. This is how a devotee's mind becomes. Then he got a lot of teaching from Vasishtha Maharshi, Suni Sikha Pai Asi Sabadi. And he also got blessings from Vasishtha Maharshi. Then he called an astrologer, Ganika Boli Denu Sadhi. He called an astrologer. What was it that he was planning to do? He wanted to place the Padukas on the throne. Singhasana Prabhu Paduka Baithare Nirupadhi. He really wanted to communicate this point that the king of Ayodhya is Bhagwan Rama. Now the next Doha talks about the niyamas. Niyama means the rules that Bharatji followed, austerity that Bharatji followed. Now somebody might ask, what is the need to do all this? Didn't he know that Bhagwan Rama was the king of Ayodhya? Why did he have to call an astrologer, put the Padukas on the throne? And next Doha it is said, he'll go and stay in Nandigrama, a nearby village. He has a hut there. And he says, Bhagwan is walking on the ground. I have to sit below the ground. So he digs the earth, puts kusha grass and sits down there. Now what is the need for all this? Didn't he know that Bhagwan is the king and Ayodhya belongs to the Lord? Now different Mahatmas, they give reasons why niyama is important. Niyama means some specific austerity that we take upon ourselves. So simple example of niyama is spending 15 minutes, half an hour at altar every single day. That is one niyama. Not eating before prayers. That is example of one niyama. Now somebody might say, God is all pervading, God is at every time God is there. If I'm doing my work, I'm remembering God, isn't that sufficient? So here, the word niyama is the most important word. Bharatji is as though telling us, this Maya is so powerful that we never know when it will pull us down. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. If we just say, I will think that everything belongs to God, and I don't do certain actions to remind myself of those things, we can easily slip any moment. So he says one should have certain reminders that help us remember this fact. Secondly, now Bharatji is going to take on the administration of the kingdom. Whoever is a leader, that leader needs physical stamina, needs mental stamina, and also needs spiritual stamina. Physical, mental, and spiritual stamina. And that spiritual stamina cannot come only by saying, I belong to God. If that devotion is fully ripened, that is an advanced stage. He says the first stage before that is niyama. niyama along with this thought that I am sevaka of the Lord, he says that will bring spiritual stamina. Otherwise, Bharatji, who is such a great devotee, he need not take up any of these. His work itself is worship, that is there. But in addition to that, he says, our mind can easily slip any moment. Therefore, we need these niyamas. How many niyamas we take, what kind of niyamas we take, that depends on every individual. But why is niyama important? That is being pointed out here. And if somebody is a leader, that leader is respected only if he is disciplined. Somebody might be a great king, but if that king doesn't have niyama or sanyama, indulgent king is never respected. People might fear as long as he is in position, but that is not his true achievement. So even when Bhagwan Rama was supposed to be coronated as the king, the advice that Vasishtha Maharshi gave him was, do sanyama. That is another reason why Bharatji says, I have to take up these niyamas. Our mind, it's very malleable. Whatever we repeat every day, a very deep impression starts getting formed in it, such that that particular thing becomes easy for us. In Panchadashi, Vidyana Swamiji, he says, just like drop by drop, water evaporates and forms cloud. And suddenly when you want, or when it is the right time, it starts showering. Like that, samskara of meditation keeps getting accumulated if a person does it every day. And just like that shower of rain came, like that shower of bliss comes to that person because he is doing it every single day. And these things are such, our scriptures again and again remind us. It cannot give its results only by knowing. If I know that I should have some niyama in life, it is good. But unless I have it and live my life according to it, there is no benefit that I will accrue. So all festivals are a very good time to reset our niyamas. Whatever has fallen apart and we want to bring it back, bring them back. Whatever new we have to start, which we think we can sustain, we should start. Okay, the bottom line of niyama is, after doing it, I should feel I am purer than before. If that thought arises, niyama is working well. And different facets will play a role. Was my mind single-pointed, or was I thinking about 10 different things while doing that particular niyama? Was my attention towards God, or was I thinking about world? That will also decide how I feel after doing that niyama. But how do I know whether my niyama is working or not? It should invoke this vritti. Vritti means a thought. Pavitrosmi. I am pure. I have become purer by doing this thing. All these points are mentioned here as Bharatji is showing what all niyamas he took. Bharatji is not showing it. Goswamiji is telling us what all things Bharatji did. Getting permission from Vasishtha Maharshi, he bows down to Kausalyaji first. Rama Matu Gura Pada Siru Nai. Not to Kaikeyi. Because he is going to take all these austerities, he doesn't even ask Kaikeyi. Prabhu Pada Peeth hai Rajayasu Pai. Getting blessings from the Padukas that he has kept on the throne, he moves away from Ayodhya. Nandigava Kari Parana Kutira. He has a very small hut in the outskirts of the city, called as Nandigrama. Keenha Nivasu Dharma Dhuradhira. There Bharatji stayed, who is the foremost amongst those who follow Dharma. Now connect everything with what Vasishtha Maharshi has said. He says, you don't have to ask me, can I move to Nandigam? Wherever you move and whatever you do, that will be Dharma. Then how was he in his attire? Jata Juta Siram Munipata Dhari. He had matted locks and his dress was not of a king. He was in the robes of an ascetic, Munipata. Mahikani Kusa Sathari Savari. He dug the earth and put kusha grass and he would stay there. Asana Basana. Food, the attire, the dress. Basana Brata. The utensils and different vows and austerities. Karata Kathina Rishi Dharma Saprema. Whatever great Rishi Munis would do, which is so difficult for them to do, he would do all of it happily. Bhushana Avada Raju Sihai. No, above that line. Bhushana Basana Bhoga Sukhat Bhuri. He renounced all the ornaments. As a king, he would have had so many gems and jewels and everything. Gave up all of that. Fancy clothing as a king, that also he gave up. How did he give this up? There is a tradition where you take a blade of grass, break it. That is called as pratijna. Manatana bachana tajetina turi. Sometimes when we sit in the park, a lot of pratijnas, we keep doing it without. It is good if we can connect it with something. This is one thing about Vratam. We will discuss this in 13th chapter. See, Vratam, whenever we think of, we always feel it should be something like fasting or doing something. There is another Vratam where we take values and connect it with a Vratam. For example, if somebody has problem of anger, that person takes a Vratam and he says, every Monday, I will try to make sure that I am in either Maunam or I don't allow this anger thought to rise. Along with fasting, you add fasting also. And every time he slips, he writes down, how many times did I get angry today? Our mind is such, if we do it for one day, the impact of it will be felt for few more days. So if he did it on Monday, by the time he gets back to his angry state, it would have been Wednesday or Thursday. That is the purpose of Vratam, that continues for certain duration. Vratam need not be always some kind of activity. It should also be with values. That is his pratijna, that he has given up all these comforts. Now Goswamiji says, this wealth of Ayodhya and the power of Dashrath Maharaj, it was such that Indra Bhagwan would feel jealous and Kubera would feel small. All of that Bharatji just gave it up like blade of grass. Avada Raju Sura Raju Sihai Dasarata Dhanu Suni Dhanadu Lajai. Tehi Pura Basata Bharata Binu Raga. In that city of Ayodhya, Bharatji lived without any attachment. In Bhagavad Gita we hear that verse, Ragad Dvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyescharan Atma Vasher Vidheyatma Prasadamadi Gacchati. The one who doesn't have Shobhana Buddhi in Vishayas, one who doesn't feel that these objects are going to give me joy, Let him roam around amidst Vishayas. Ragadvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyais Charan. Charan means he is roaming around. Still, his mind will not get agitated. Instead, he will get Manah Prasada. Because he is well controlled. He is not seeking new things, but whatever Prarabdha brings him, in that he doesn't get carried away. That is our Bharatji. Tehi pura basata bharatu vinuraga chancharika jimi champaka baga. It is said the honeybee does not sit on champa flower because it doesn't have pollen. That is why he is giving this example. Bharatji did not even look at the comforts of Ayodhya. Previously, he did not look at the comforts of Bharadwaja Rishi, who got entire Swarga down for him. There Goswamiji had given the example of Chakwa Chakwi bird. At night, how these two birds separate and don't look at each other. Like that, Bharatji and the comforts which were there, he was not even looking at them. Now here, Goswamiji starts introducing some concepts of Advaita Vedanta. Sadhana Chatushtaya part. All examples you will find in Aparoksha Anubhuti, Shankar Bhashya, different places. He says, if somebody has developed true love for God, pure love for God, for that person, sense objects are like vomit. How disgusting it is, and nobody wants to go towards it. He says like that, the sense objects don't give him any joy. Rama Bilasu Rama Anuragi. Person who is having anuraga towards Bhagwan. Tajata Bamana Jimi Jana Bada Bhagi. Blessed are those who have this kind of love and their mind doesn't go towards sense objects. Aparoksha Anubhuti, and in one of Shankaracharya's Bhashya, you will find these references. Aparoksha Anubhuti, slightly different example is given. Kaka Vishtavat, it is said. So sense object should become like that. That is the result of pure love for God. What to talk about Bharatji, he says. Bharatji is somebody, not only he loves Bhagwan, but Bhagwan loves him. Rama Pema Bhajana Bharatu. Pema Bhajana means he has become the patra of God's love, Bhagwan Rama's love. Badena ehi karatuti. He did not acquire greatness because of all these things he has left. And this was nothing for him. Even in the world we see, if there is love, nothing appears very difficult. So many things we will do if we love that person. If there is a child at home, how much sacrifice happens? And if it's a younger child, like a baby, whole night you'll have to stay awake. But none of it looks like austerity. But if there is no love, one glass of water, so heavy to get and give it to the person. That is what Goswamiji is saying here. Bharatji's love for God was such, all these austerities became very easy. Chataka hamsa sarahiyata teka bibeka vibhuti. Chataka bird and hamsa bird, they get greatness because of their quality. Chataka bird symbolizes Vairagya because it will drink only that drop directly from the cloud and quench its thirst. If there is a tree and a fruit hanging there, even if it is hungry, it will not eat that fruit. You know why? Because the tree is nourished by ordinary water. He says, I will drink only from the cloud, Swati Nakshatra. On that day, if that water comes, I will drink. So this example is given for mind that is seeking Bhagavan exclusively. This mind doesn't settle down for any joy except for that joy of the self. Even if it falls in Gangaji, Chataka bird, it will die thirsty, but it will not drink the water. Goswami has written this in Vinay Patrika. What is the greatness of this Chataka? Means consistency of purpose. कुछ भी नहीं चलेगा. Anything and everything won't do. What it wants, that alone it wants. And Hamsa bird for Viveka, discernment. What is right and wrong, that this Hamsa represents. They become great because of their qualities. Next, Goswamiji gives a metaphor that Bharatji is doing all this austerity. How is his personality getting adorned? First he says he is becoming thin day by day. Deha dinahu dina du bari hoi. Day by day he is becoming weaker as far as his body is concerned. Okay, next word you have to add to the previous quarter. Deha dinahu dina du bari hoi ghatai. If you don't do that, then it will be ghatai teju. Means he did all this austerity, and because of that his teja went down. You cannot take that meaning. If you take teja with ghatai, then teja will mean fat in the body, meda. Best meaning is put that ghatai with the previous one. Deha dinahu dina dubari hoi ghatai. Then what increased? His teja increased, brilliance increased, spiritual stamina, mental strength increased, and mukha chabi increased. There was a glow on his face because of the austerity that he was doing. In Srimad Bhagavatam, when Arjuna goes to meet Bhagavan Krishna at the very end, he comes back and looking at him, Yudhishthira Maharaj says, "You look very gloomy. Your teja has gone. What is the reason?" And he gives a list of reasons. Did you do something wrong? Did you hurt a Brahmana? Means all the adharmic actions he lists, and he says, did you do any of these by mistake? Because if you do that, teja goes away. Means looking at you, I can tell that teja has gone. Then he says, I know you. Even by mistake, you would not have done any of these. Then he says, tell me whether Bhagavan Krishna has wrapped up his avatar. Then Arjuna falls at his feet, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and starts weeping. He says, I took him for granted, and this Maya has cheated me. But there how he lists the points of how teja goes down, the opposite of that is listed here. How does a person become tejasvi? Bharatji did all those niyamas, had some spiritual routine, kept his mind on Bhagavan. Nitanava Rama Pema Panupina. Every day his love for God became new and new. In our Vivaha Dinamidam song, Puja Guruji has written, Pratidinam Navam Prema Vardhatam. Means if two people have to live together, they should find something new to appreciate in each other. Then that love grows and there is something new to appreciate, newness in that love. So Bharatji's love for God was multifaceted. Every day he would discover something new to appreciate in Bhagwan and love Bhagwan in that way. Badata Dharma Dalu Manuna Malina. The army of Dharma in Bharatji's life, that started increasing and mind was very, very cheerful. But externally, if you looked at him, he was very lean and thin because of all the other austerities that he was doing. Now Goswamiji gives a metaphor. He wants to portray how did Bharatji look. He says in autumn season, the water in the ponds go down. But at the same time, the Batasa. Batasa means, in the English they have written cane plant, something like a cane, that plant, and lotus, that starts blooming in autumn season. Just like that, Bharatji's physical body was growing thinner, but his teja and his prasannata and spiritual brilliance, that was increasing. Now he says, Bharatji's heart is like a clear sky, no clouds. And there are different stars over there. What are those stars? Samadama Sanjama Niyama Upasa. His sense control, Shama. Dama, sense control of the mind, control of the senses. And all the meditation practices. Sanjama here refers to meditation practice, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. And different niyamas that he is doing, morning, afternoon, evening. All of that, they are the stars in his personality. Bharatji is like a clear sky, and these things are adorning his personality. Then there is a pole star, Dhruva Nakshatra. That is his faith. The faith with which he is doing these niyamas, that is like the Dhruva Nakshatra, pole star. And Avadhi Rakhasi, the 14 years Avadhi, that is like full moon night. In that full moon night, all the austerities, they are the stars, and the pole star is his faith. And remembrance of Bhagavan, Swami Surati, Surabhiti Bikasi. The way in which he remembers Bhagavan, that is like the Milky Way. Galaxy of stars, all of them filled. Next time when you go to Krishnalaya, you can remember this metaphor and see each and every one. Which one is the galaxy, Milky Way? You can see Milky Way from Krishnalaya. The remembrance of God, that was like the Milky Way. Rama Pema Bidu Achala Adosha. His pure love for God, that is like the spotless moon which is there. Sahita Samaja Sohanita Chokha. Along with this, his whole personality is getting adorned with all these things. Bharata Rahani, Bharatji is living, his understanding, his doing, his devotion, his vairagya, and all his qualities that he has, those are his vibhutis. And he says, even the greatest poet cannot describe in true sense what is the greatness of Bharatji. Even if Shesh Bhagwan comes, Ganesh Bhagwan comes, Shardaji comes, even they cannot describe it. Nita Pujata Prabhu Pavari Pritina Hrudaya Samati. Every day Bharatji would do puja of the Padukas, and his heart would be filled with so much joy. Magi Magi Ayasu Karata. Whenever he had doubt, whatever he was supposed to do or he wanted to do, he would first seek permission from those Padukas. Raja Kaja Bahu Bhati. In different ways, he took care of the administration by seeking guidance from those Padukas. Puja Guruji mentions a few points when it comes to this niyama. He says, just like we deposit money in bank, and whenever we want, we can withdraw because it's our own money we have deposited. Like that, we should deposit prayers at our altar, such that whenever we need help, all that prayer that we have done comes in the form of guidance to us. Means a stage should come where we are able to go through any difficulty, if at all it comes, on the strength of these sadhanas, on the strength of these prayers. That is the meaning of this Doha, that Paduka started speaking. It is not just one material thing speaking, it is a faith with which every single day Bharatji is offering his prayers. With that bond, guidance is received from Bhagavan. This we had seen before also. Many a times what we do is, we do what we want, then go to God and say, Bhagavan, please save. Bhagavan says, first you come to me, then do what you want. That is what is the implied meaning of this verse, that before doing anything, before saying anything, asking Bhagavan whether this is okay to say, whether this is okay to do. And the more we get purity, more we do our sadhana, we will get the right answer. When he has to stop us, he will stop us. When he has to make us say something, he will give his endorsement. Good news is Bhagavan is not far somewhere, that we have to go somewhere to our puja room and then ask. That is where we feel his presence. But he is seated in our own heart. So we don't have to go outside to ask, we have to go inside to ask. Last Doha of AyodhyaKandh, let us chant. पुलक गात ही सिय रघुवीरु, जीह नाम जप लोचन नीरु, लखन राम सिय कानन बसहि, भरतु भवन बसि तप तनु कसहि। दो दिसि समुझि कहत सब लोगु, सब विधि भरत सराहन जोगु, सुनि व्रत नेम साधु सकुचाहि, देखि दशा मुनि राजल जाहि। परम पुनीत भरत आचरनु, मधुर मंजु मुद मंगल करनु, हरन कठिन कलि कलुष कलेसु, महामोहनि सिदलन दिनेसु। पाप पुंज कुंजर मृगराजु, समन सकल संताप समाजु, जन रंजन भंजन भव भारु, राम सनेह सुधाकर सारु। सिय राम प्रेम पीयूष पूरन होत, जन मुन भरत को मुनि मन अगम जम नियम समदम, विषम व्रत आचरत को दुख दाह दारिद दंभ दूषण, सुजस मिस अपहरत को कलिकाल तुलसी से सटनि हठ राम सन्मुख करत को। भरत चरित करिने मो, तुलसी जो सादर सुनहि, सिय राम पद प्रेमो, अवसि होई भवरस बिरति। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Pulaka Gata, his body was filled with horripilations. He has Siya Raghubiru, in his heart was Sitaji and Bhagwan Rama. Jiha Namu Japa, he was constantly taking Bhagwan's name, eyes filled with tears, Lochana Niru. Lakana Ramasya Kanana Basahi. Lakshmanji, Bhagwan Rama and Sitaji lived in the forest and did tapasya. Bharatu Bhavana Basi Tapatanu Kasahi. Bharatji lived at his home and did the same tapasya or even more. Now people saw both of this, that Bhagwan Rama is there and Bharatji is here. And they compared and they understood. and they all of them are saying, Sababidi Bharata Sarahana Jogu. Our Bharatji is fit to be praised in all ways, and we unnecessarily misunderstood him. You see how this Bharatji's Charitra starts and how it ends. First time when he entered Ayodhya from his uncle's home, people just did pranams and walked away. Nobody even bothered to ask how he is doing, because all of them felt he also was involved in this plot of Kaikeyi. But now they realize he is one of the greatest devotee and we misunderstood him. Sunibrata nema sadhu saku chahi. Looking at Bharatji's vows and austerity, even great Rishi Munis, they feel ashamed that Bharatji is doing so much that we also cannot do. Parama Punita Bharata Acharano. Now this is Phalashruti of reading, studying, reflecting on Bharata Charitra. This most pure Charitra of Bharatji, which is very sweet, Madhura Manju, which is beautiful, Muda, joy-giving, and Mangala, auspicious. What does it do? Harana Kathina Kali Kalusha Kalesu. Whatever conflicts can come in our life, those conflicts, this Bharata Charitra has the power to remove from our life. Maha Moha Nisi Dalana Dinesu. Just like sun removes darkness of night, Bharata Charitra removes ignorance from our life. That ahankara which gives so much trouble, this Bharata Charitra has the power to mellow down that ahankara and to lead us to our own blissful nature. In Vedanta, there is no other moha. Thinking I am this person, that itself is Mahamoha. That Mahamoha, it will remove. Papa Punja Kunjaram Nugaraju. Because of this ego, person is forced to commit so many sins. The group of sins is like herd of elephants. And Bharata Charitra is like the lion which makes all the elephants run away. That is the power of Bharatji's Charitra. Samana Sakala Santapa Samaju. Whatever agitations of the mind, they are there. If one reflects upon Bharatji's nature, those agitations get quietened. Janaranjana, it is joy-giving. Bhava Bharu Bhanjana, it destroys samsara from our life. Rama Saneha Sudhakara Saru, it is the essence of divine love. Whatever we have to understand about bhakti, all the main principles are captured in Bharatji's Charitra. Now Goswamiji says, if Bharatji was not born, who would do all these things for us? What are the things? First he gives a introduction to Bharatji. Siya Rama Pema Piyusha Purana. The one who is filled with divine love for Sitaji and Bhagwan Rama, that is our Bharatji. Hota Janumana Bharatako. If he was not born, Muni Mana Agama Jama Niyama Samadama Bishama Brata Acharatako. Who would follow all these difficult austerities, which even Rishi Munis find it difficult to follow? To set an example, if Bharatji was not there, who else would set it for us? Then sorrow, dukkha. Daha means agitation. Daridrya. Daridrya means smallness. Feeling that I am a very small person. Dambha, pretentiousness. And Dushana, faults. Who would remove all this if Bharatji's divine yasha in the form of Bharata Charitra was not there? And he says, in this Kali Yuga, who would forcefully turn the attention of somebody like Tulsidas ji towards Rama? Kalikala tulasi se sathina hati Rama sanamukha karatako. Goswamiji calls himself as Shata. Shata means somebody who is totally extrovert. Sometimes you wonder, where these sages, they start their gradation. Somebody like Goswami Tulsidashi, this is how he feels about himself. This is also to show how a devotee thinks. Whenever devotee thinks about himself, he sees only faults. That is one insignia of a devotee. When he sees others, he sees only goodness. When he sees himself, he says, Bhagwan, whatever faults can be there, all of them I see here. But I know that because I'm thinking about you, you will lift me out of this. This is his bhavana. He says, if Bharatji was not there, who would lift us out of all this negativities that we have? Bharata Charita Kari Nemo, the one who sincerely reflects about Bharatji's Charitra, chants Bharatji's Charitra. Tulasi jo sadara sunahi, one who listens with lot of faith and reverence. What happens to that person? Siya Ramapada Pemu. He gets pure love at the lotus feet of Sita ji and Bhagwan Rama. Is there a doubt in it? He says, Avasi. Certainly he will get. All we have to do is keep thinking about Bharatji's Charitra over and over again. If possible, read it, the whole thing, or at least the key points which were there in his Charitra. Hoi bhavarasa birati. Whatever joy is coming from sense objects, he will find a greater source of joy to revel in. In all kandas, in all like Balakanda, Kishkinda Kanda, Aranya Kanda, the last line is, this is the completion of this particular kanda. It is said in original Tulsi Ramayana, for AyodhyaKandh, there is no end line. Gita Press book has it, but Akhandanand Maharaj, he points out, in original Ramacharitmanas, there is no end line of AyodhyaKandh. It is only to say that Bharatji's Charitra is even more. It has not stopped with AyodhyaKandh, because after this, Bharatji doesn't come much. All the way until Bhagwan comes back after going to Lanka, comes back to Nandigrama. The same place where Bharatji is now, he will meet there. Hanumanji will meet him first. But until there, we don't see Bharatji too much. Once we see when Hanumanji is bringing the mountain, Bharatji is keeping an eye on Ayodhya, and with an arrow he brings Hanumanji down. So he says, there is no iti of Bharata Charitra. That is why that Pushpika Vakya, the last line, is missing, but here it is there. Dvitiya Sopanaha Samaptaha. And it was such a joy, we got to almost see every chaupai of AyodhyaKandh. I was counting for Balakanda, it took us almost 90 plus classes. AyodhyaKandh, it took 70 plus classes. And if we are inspired to study, that also is Bhagwan's grace. Word by word, line by line, we just have to seek. That grace continues and our interest and inspiration is protected. Next class, we will start Aranyakandha with the Mangalacharanam. Very nice stutis are going to come, and the most famous Navadha Bhakti is also in Aranyakandha. Rama Gita is also part of Aranyakandha. We'll do Aganita Guna, but there are some announcements, so please stay back after that. अगणित गुणगण भूषण राम आश्रित वत्सल जय जय राम अयोध्यवासी सीताराम आपद बांधव जय जय राम दशरथ नंदन श्री राम दशमुख मर्दन जय जय राम कौसल्या सुखवर्धन राम कामित फलदाय जय जय राम पाप विमोचन श्री राम पट्टाभिराम जय जय राम जानकी वल्लभ सीता राम जय रघुराम जय सीताराम वानर सेवित श्री राम वारिधि बंधन जय जय राम हनुमत पूजित सीता राम श्री राम जय जय राम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीता राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम सियावर रामचंद्र की जय सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय Jignesh bhai.
Hari Om Sohamji pranams. Greetings on the auspicious days of Diwali to everybody. What an auspicious day to even conclude such a wonderful topic, right? So, we will be observing just few quick announcements. We'll be observing our Diwali Puja in ashram tomorrow, starting with bhajans at 6 p.m. So we welcome all of you with your family and celebrate Diwali. We all must have done puja at home, but you can also come and celebrate it with Chinmaya Mission family. So there are two Diwali pujas that we generally celebrate. One is on the day of Diwali, which will be tomorrow. So we request you to come, and if you are coming, please RSVP for dinner so that our volunteers, they can plan for the dinner. The second event that we generally celebrate with children in focus, that will be on Saturday, November 2nd. So on that day, as you know, our children get to perform Diwali Puja guided by our Reverend Panditji. So that event starts at 5 p.m. So if your children, if you're teaching Bal Vihar, please encourage them to register, or grandchildren. Even though kids are performing puja, all are welcome. But we suggest that you register. There is a registration, and if you're doing performing puja, there is a very nominal fee for that. That is also to basically keep track of, how many kids are coming, how many adults are coming for planning dinner and Mahaprasad. And of course, after the puja, everybody, including children, gets to do some fireworks, some sparklers and all that. And we have been doing it for a couple of years, and I can see even adults, we have a good time because we miss that, generally. I don't know if we get to do that at our home. So we welcome all of you for that event as well. Generally, end of October or early November, we make a different kind of announcement where we say we are going to open our Thanksgiving pre-registration, on a Sunday at 6 p.m. And generally what happens in 60 seconds, we get 200 registrations and the camp is full. So you must be wondering, hey, this year we have not heard anything about Thanksgiving camp. What is happening? So it is for a purpose. There is a reason why we do not have a Thanksgiving camp at our Krishnalaya ashram. The reason is, as you know, we'll be hosting MSc Mahasamadhi camp in 2025 in San Jose, Signia Hotel. Many of you have registered. Many of you, I know, have decided that you're going to come, but you're just waiting to register. It is just on your list. So please do so before the discount expires. But because of that, this year, we have kept all the major camps, yajnas, etc., at a lower scale. So we have decided we won't do any camps. We won't do Thanksgiving camp. We will not do our children's youth camp. We won't do our chick camp. etc. We are not going to do Omran. But having learned, for example, Bharatji's Charitra, we get inspired that how come I don't have the same traits, the same qualities that Bharatji has? Are there any tools? Are there any sadhanas I can follow? So Sohamji has, after doing a lot of thinking back and forth, Sohamji thought, what if we take summary of or selected portion of chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, which gives very relevant pointers in how we can develop this kind of antakarana that is ready to receive knowledge. So 18th chapter, if many of you, if you have heard or even studied, it is kind of summary of entire Bhagavad Gita, and it talks about Jnana Sadhana. So this particular topic that Sohamji has selected, the power of choice, how the three gunas impact our daily actions, how it shapes our personality. So that is the topic. So it will start from November 28th till December 1st. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days. And the schedule, as you can see, we'll have meditation, then we'll have one class, a break, a second lecture, and a study group. So it's very comprehensive and it is kept in the morning so that by the time your children or if you come with your spouses, great. But if one of the spouse is occupied taking care, then at least one of you can come and you have entire day of Thanksgiving, to available for you to spend with your friends and family. We know that is important. We all want to do that. So we hope that all of you will make it a point to come in person. There is no um, web connection. There is no online facility for this discourse series. It is in person only exclusively. So, and it's in the mornings, and Thanksgiving, generally the traffic is very light. By the time traffic takes up or, climbs up, we all will be home. There'll be snacks and some, tea, coffee, etc. will be provided. So please consider, keep this in your radar. Please share it with your friends if they are interested in not studying entire Bhagavad Gita, but selected portion of Bhagavad Gita. The registration for this will open tomorrow. So sometime tomorrow, you'll be able to go to our website, cmsj.org, just click a link. The fees per person is only $25. So we didn't want to have that as an obstacle for anybody to register. The only reason we have registration is that so that we know how many people are coming, how many study groups we need to form, what kind of snacks we need to plan, etc., etc. So that's the only plan. So we are looking forward to seeing you, all of you, tomorrow, and we hope that all of you will register for this discourse series during Thanksgiving week. Thank you. Hari.